Every puzzle has an answer.
I think we all like stories about the end of the world, right? That's why zombie stories are so popular. I know not everyone is into zombies, but some of us just prefer a different kind of end-of-the-world tale. Hotel Apocalypse falls into the latter category. It's a story about the end of the world, but instead of humans killing each other, it's about a group of robots waiting for humanity to return. After something bad happened, people left Earth. They left humanoid robots on Earth to wait for them to come back. In these 12 episodes, we see more than just robots waiting for humanity to return. We also see what it's like for an AI to be given an order with no clear deadline. The last thing the humans told the main character was that they would be back soon. Honestly, that idea caught my attention right away. Watching the years go by so quickly made me think of Frieren. In the end, the two main characters experienced something very similar. Welcome to the show that made me love a robot. It's the year 2052. A virus has spread across the entire globe. The story never really explains what this virus is or how it started, but we do see how it triggered countless uprisings all around the world. I love that this series doesn't give away how the tragedy happened. Instead, we only get a few scattered frames showing bits of the event. I think that approach is worth pointing out because we have to pay attention to the small bits of lore that exist and piece together the blanks ourselves when the information isn't handed to us directly. Sometimes, it's better to show than to tell. At some point, the situation clearly got out of control. It seems that masks, like the ones we wore in 2020, weren't enough anymore. Now, people had to wear full-body suits just to go outside. When even breathing became deadly, humanity had no choice but to leave Earth for space. The owner of the Gingaru Hotel was among those who left. He said goodbye to his robotic staff and promised he would return soon, but he didn't. As time passes, the number of robots decreases. Yachio, the main character, is the only humanoid robot left. There are other robots, but they aren't designed to interact with people. They only exist for specific jobs, like doorman, cook, or cleaning. The story of the Gingaru Hotel staff begins there and continues for the next 12 episodes. As I said before, it's interesting that there are often decades or even centuries between episodes. So don't be surprised if, by the time we reach the last part, the story has changed a lot from the original idea. The big question is whether humanity will finally return by the end of episode 12. Overall, I love this anime. I'm not joking when I say it might be the best anime of the year, but it probably won't beat something more mainstream. I've always loved dramas that balance emotional moments with comedy and adventure. This story perfectly balances all three. To give you an idea, there's even a mecha fight sequence in one of the episodes. I'm not joking when I say you have to be ready for anything. I realized this in 2 episodes. The first is the one where the main character gets stranded in space for decades. The second is the one where there's almost no dialogue at all. The pacing in that episode was great. I wasn't even bothered by the lack of dialogue, because, as I said before, you don't always need your characters to talk to each other to tell a story. Nonverbal communication and visual storytelling can do the job just as well, and this anime is very good at it. Another detail that caught my attention was the way the series named its episodes. The whole story is about robots serving people, so it was a nice touch that each title is based on one of the 10 commandments of the hotel's customer service. For example, the first episode is titled, "A Hotel Always Has a Story to Tell." This idea is that a hotel should be a place that sparks experiences and stories for its guests. Then there's another episode with a title about greeting customers with a smile, and another one about the importance of dining etiquette. I like the title the best in episode 2. The episode is called "Tradition Evolves Through Innovation and Experimentation." I think it's a fantastic episode because it's when a guest who isn't human arrives at the hotel. We see the main character, who has only ever interacted with humans, start to adapt to meet the preferences of this plant-like creature. What makes it even more interesting is that some of the other robots think this guest is an alien and must be eliminated, but she refuses to go along with that. It raises a sort of moral dilemma? I'm not sure that's the exact term, since calling it that would imply these robots actually have moral awareness. But let's just say the episode briefly looks at the limits of robots when it comes to understanding what's right according to their programming. As you might guess, each title in this show looks at different aspects of the characters. I know not everyone enjoys this type of story, and I understand that. I really do. But as I said before, this series isn't just about robots waiting for humans to return. It's also about a robot who is waiting for a promise she once made to her owner, a man who probably died hundreds of years ago. To understand this, you don't need to imagine a robot programmed to wait until the end of the world. You can see the same idea in stories about a pet waiting for its owner. Even in fictional stories, there's always something real that you can relate to. I love the episodes where the main character has to leave the hotel for different reasons. In these episodes, we see nature slowly take back the Earth. We also get to see a little bit of what life was like for humans in the last days of the planet. As I said before, be prepared for surprises. During one of her adventures, the main character runs into a sandworm. Suddenly, the story changes into a temporary adventure and action story. As with any good story, this one also introduces new characters. Since then, guests from other planets have started to arrive at the hotel. Some of these guests are fascinating and show us a worldview very different from our own. But in the end, the most important of them all is a family of raccoons. Each member of this family is unique and adds something to the cast, but Ponko is the most memorable. Ponko is an alien girl who, despite how she looks, is a lot like the main character. They both come from worlds destroyed by events they weren't responsible for. Both were left by their people, and most importantly, they both shape and find meaning in each other. Even though humans are no longer on Earth, their spirit lives on. It's strange, but it's Yachio, the robot, who ends up giving Ponko the alien human qualities. Sure, teaching humanity to an alien girl from an advanced civilization doesn't sound impressive, but remember that the idea of civilization for an alien society doesn't have to be the same as our own. That's why lessons like these are more valuable than they might seem. In one episode, Ponko's family fills the hotel with their poop because that's normal on their home planet. But Ponko understands that's not okay, at least not in the society she now lives in. And just as Yachio helps shape Ponko, Ponko eventually helps shape Yachio too, when the AI faces a crisis about its existence. In the end, Yachio, the artificial intelligence, is saved by a sense of humanity she had passed on to someone who wasn't even human. Now, I'll give a quick warning about spoilers. If you don't want to know what happens in the story, you can skip ahead. In the end, humanity does return. But this new kind of human is not built to survive on Earth. It's interesting that when humans first left, the air was very polluted. But after nearly 1,000 years, the air is now cleaner than ever. And that's precisely what their bodies can no longer handle. The beings who come back to Earth are not the same people who left. They're just another alien species added to the long list of visitors to the planet. But humanity and its history continue to exist through the robots that serve the guests at the hotel and continue to tell the story of the civilization that once ruled the world. Honestly, guys, I'll be real with you. I loved this anime, but even I know it's not for everyone. I think every story, no matter how silly or rough around the edges, always has something to tell. And this one tells a story of loneliness about a girl with little to no emotions, who has to learn everything with the limited programming she was given. If you enjoy dramatic adventure stories like Frieren, then this is definitely one that might resonate with you. Before finishing, I want to thank the user who paid for the membership of this channel. It means a lot to me, and I also thank those from my original channel for supporting me with their monthly subscription. But another story you might like is about a fat loser who gets teleported to an isekai and can't touch women or he dies. If you're curious, that video should be popping up on your screen right now.